inspiring to see the best in you.
Check it out, everybody. Y'all are about to witness one of gospel music's finest, Miss Yolanda Adams and yours truly.
Welcome to Empowerment, equipping you in your life's pursuits. Empowerment, inspiring to see the best in you.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. It is that time again. We are here at the Kimpowerment Radio Show. We are here equipping you for your life's journey, your spiritual journey, and that's what we're here to do. So we're so glad that you joined us. Tell a friend, tell a hater, we don't care. Just tell somebody and let them know that the Kimpowerment Radio Show has started. And today, it is my distinct pleasure and honor to welcome our special guest today, Sister Denasia Leslie. And she is here today. She's going to be talking to us about quite a few things, especially in the area of kingdom entrepreneurship. And she's going to be sharing with us about her journey and, how entrepreneurship also can stem into its ministry. And how do you juggle that? How do you navigate that? And all the different things that she's been through as a young and powerful woman of God, but also balancing life and balancing work and career. And how do you do all of that? But we all know that is done through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So I'm going to take the time just to read her bio so that you can know a little bit more about her before we bring her to the mic. So Denasia is a young woman who loves Jesus, and that I know for a fact, and is dedicated to doing the work of God. She is a member of the Life-Changing Church, where overseer Pastor Antoine Montgomery is the pastor. She serves as the president of the Ushering Auxiliary, team member of the Women's Department, and she teaches Sunday school for ages 0 to 6. She graduated from University of Massachusetts, Boston in 2018 with the Bachelor's of Science in Management and concentrated in leadership and organizational change. While working in the corporate and nonprofit sectors, she felt led to go into the skincare industry by way of making skincare products, which I've gotten some. At the start of COVID, she enrolled in school for aesthetics and became a licensed esthetician practicing multicultural skincare, working alongside her mother at Nash Nicole Hair Studio. She also is an aesthetics instructor where she teaches others to become an esthetician. She is the founder of Jesus Glow Company, where she creates natural skincare products by hand and merchandise that allows individuals to have a piece of Jesus with every encounter. Her theme scripture at Jesus Glow is taken from Matthew 5:16, which reads, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." So I just thought that was a great way to introduce my friend, my sister in Christ. And at this time, we are going to segue. And I would just like, Denasia, if you could just talk about for a few minutes, what made you gravitate towards skincare? Did it happen at a young age? Was it something that evolved? Or what just made you want to go into that industry? Like, what was the burning thought behind that?
First of all, I just want to say thank you, Sister Kimberly, for allowing me to have this opportunity to come and speak on your radio show, Kim Empowerment. Just want to say thank you. But to answer your question, which is a good question, I began going into skincare. It was 2019, I remember, and I was just having a conversation with some young women, and just speaking about how it's important to, allow the light of the Lord to shine through your life. And
Yes.
In that, conversation, Jesus Glow rolled off my tongue. And I was just
Yeah.
surprised. I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay, that's a good phrase. That's something that I should, write down and consider. And from there, I ended up just going through a situation, having issues with my skin, trying to figure out, what was going on. The doctors couldn't really help me. So one thing I began to do was just started to do some research, and I created making body butters inside my kitchen at home.
Wow.
And before then, I did not have a license, as an esthetician. I was just doing something that I felt led to do. And sure enough, I ended up being invited to sell my products at different church events, markets that I had attended, and things just began to grow rapidly. I not only created skincare products, I also had merchandise, so like t-shirts, things that people could wear and profess Christ. So having that, I in turn had that experience. However, beginning of 2020, as we know, COVID had struck. I was in the middle of working at a tax office locally in town, and I just felt that the Lord was leading me to make a shift, make a transition. And at that time, I turned 25, and I was just trying to figure out what to do next with my life. I was just trying to, stay before the Lord just to see what He had me to do, knowing that He had me make those products. But I'm like, Lord, I'm making these products, but I'm not even licensed. I don't even understand, how it will apply to the skin. But lo and behold, the products that people were using, they actually made a difference. People saw that their skin had been improving. They felt great about the products. I always had people, wanting to re-up on their orders. And I ended up enrolling into school for aesthetics, not having gotten a facial before, haven't even dealt with skin per se. And I went to school, enjoyed it, loved it. And Jesus Glow had taken a break at that time because it was just COVID, a lot of things that had been going on in my life. However, once I graduated, I just knew that it was for me to continue doing what I did before and just ramping it up on a whole new level. So I thank God for having that transition. I just was not satisfied with the career that I had at that time. And one thing that I had experienced was going from one thing, going to another situation, going from this job to that job. But I just knew that the Lord had called me to do more. So henceforth, Jesus Glow came about.
That was excellent. A few things that I heard you say there, and one thing that really resonated with me was when you said you heard the Lord. You heard Him say, "It's time to make a shift. It's time to change." Or, you're going through, and you had a great degree.
Yes.
You had been through college. You'd had some experience, but you still heard God say, "There's something else," and you took that leap of faith.
Yes.
It sounds like, and you went for it. You went for it. So I think that was excellent. I think that's something that a lot of people need to hear, even if it's in terms of encouragement, that someone had the same idea, and that you're not strange, but you feel this tug, right? You feel this pull in your heart to do something else, to go into another avenue, to go into another area, but you know that God is with you.
Yes.
And if you could tell us more about how you came up with the name Jesus Glow and how that whole business, I mean, you're sitting here, a young woman with a whole business.
Literally.
So we need to talk about that.
Yes. So I feel like it's just that question, or there's just a lot to unpack. Just hearing you repeat what I said, it was brought back to my memory when I felt that tug and that transition. I had, my mom, she's a hairstylist, and I looked to her for, advice and counsel. And I said, Mom, I just feel like it's something that, I'm being led to do. And, sometimes you'll have a little opposition, not necessarily like those who are trying to talk you out of doing something, but they'll make you wonder and question, like, is this something that you are supposed to be doing? She said, you have to touch people, you have to do this, you have to do that. And it just really made me, I had to lean on the Lord. I had to seek him. I'm like, I hear what you're saying, Mom, but, this is what I am feeling led to do. Even when I was at my, the job during that time, you try to explain certain things that Jesus is doing in your life without, saying Jesus is doing something in your life. But then you'll have those who are not believers who won't understand, So you have to make sure that when you are hearing from the Lord, you are only listening to what he is saying. Even in that, people were saying, oh, you're going through a quarter-life crisis. You don't know what's going on. You sure this is something you're supposed to be doing? When I remember quarter-life crisis, I'm like, am I really going through a quarter-life crisis?
I have never heard
I'm like, yeah. That's the first time hearing that. I've heard midlife crisis. But you saying I have a quarter-life crisis? I'm like, well, But it was just, when I tell you, I felt the Lord so strongly say, this is something that you need to be doing. And I created products without having a background, without having a license. And the products actually made a difference for individuals. It's one thing for people to start a business and to create certain things, but you don't necessarily see the effect of that. I seen the Lord work in so many ways with Jesus Glow, and where I would have certain events, certain products to deliver, and I'm like, Lord, I'm running low on this. Things would come through just like that. Even when I, of course, you need to have certain measurements and things for when you're creating products. I saw that I would be running low. And when I tell you that product would stretch, it would stretch. And I'm like, Lord, I thank you. It's just like, you brought me this far. I know you won't, leave me to struggle. The Lord, he will definitely provide all that we need. And as I mentioned, Jesus Glow, it just came from having a simple conversation with young women, trying to empower them, trying to encourage them in this world where it just seems like so much is out there for you, but it doesn't fill you, it doesn't have value, it has no meaning. So just having that on my heart, I'm just glad that I was able to follow through with it and pick it back up and see it through. So no,
definitely. I hear the passion behind your voice, and also for you being able to recognize a need in society and in the community, especially the community of Black and brown women.
Yes.
And you being able to pick up on that need, which is what Jesus did.
Yes.
He met the needs of the people. He wasn't necessarily going around preaching to them and telling them, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like, oh, you're hungry? Okay, then we'll get you some food.
Exactly.
And you saw that need. I wonder if you could speak to anybody out there who's listening and they're hearing maybe the same things that you heard, but they're at that point where they're not sure if it's really God. They're not sure if it's them. They're not sure if it's something that they can do.
Yeah.
And they may be feeling, a little bit uncomfortable. If you could speak to that young person out there who's kind of at the crossroads and saying, well, I feel that I have something in me. And I want to take that next step, but I'm a little bit hesitant. And they could be at the phase where you were, where you were saying, you tell an idea to somebody and they could squash on your dream or they stomp on your dream or whatever. Yeah. And they may say, I don't know if you should be doing that. Maybe you're going through the quarter life. That's a new one. I can't wait to use that. Maybe you're going through the quarter life crisis. But at the same time, they may be just at that point where, it's just that one more comment or that one more voice of encouragement that's going to take them to the next level and take them to the next step. So if you could speak to that person.
Of course. One thing I want to say is we know that this broadcast is spirit-led. Okay, so you have to have a relationship with Christ in order to hear his voice, to understand what he is saying, and where he wants you to go. It's one thing for you to say, oh, this is what I want to do, this is what I like to do, but, is it something that you're led to do? If it's weighing very heavy on you day in and day out, if you speak to different people and you have that opposition, if there's no opposition there, then it's just like, it's definitely something that you have to see through. You have to push past the opposition. And sometimes it may be those who are closest to you. Of course, we value everything that our leaders are saying. Of course, you will, obey that. However, when you are feeling that God is leading you, and when you are seeking him, and when you're in prayer, you have to make sure that you are following through with that. Okay? It's so important to have a relationship with Christ to be able to make it through this life, No,
and that's true. When you said push past the opposition, because it's hard to push past something when you don't have any help.
Right.
You of your own volition are trying to push past this huge stuff. You're trying to move mountains and you're trying to do things. You can't do any of that without Christ.
Sure can.
But you've got to have that relationship with him, what Denasia was saying, which is so important, and that's the connection between, that's what makes it different as being kingdom entrepreneurship versus just entrepreneurship.
Yes.
This is a business that has Christ in mind.
Amen.
And it's Christ centered. So when she was talking about the product and saying that, oh wow, maybe she was running low on something, but it was Jesus that stretched it, or Jesus that all of a sudden you had more than you needed and you did not have to want and the like. So that's the connection that I really wanted to talk about today, was the putting the kingdom with the entrepreneurship. It doesn't have to be separated. I think a lot of times within the church and within, church society is its own society. We have the church Hollywood, we have the movie stars in church. There's all these things, but you don't necessarily have to separate your business from the church. And when I say that, I'm not talking about, running the church or running your church life like a business.
Right.
I'm saying you can marry the two, but you're operating in business, but you're operating in a kingdom-minded mindset.
Exactly.
And so if you want to tell us more about your journey leading to, even before you knew that you wanted to go into skincare, what was that journey like? What did you think that you wanted to do, or what did you think you were passionate about before you stumbled into this?
Yes. So before I had gotten into skincare, I, as I said, went to school for management, and one thing that I was super, passionate about was consulting for small businesses. So my mother, she is a small business owner. I just felt so passionate to help those with their business. And with me saying that, thinking back on it, how can you help someone with their business if you don't have a business?
Right.
I'm like, well, I have my degree, I studied management. People are like, but, you don't, what experience do you have? So I think that it's very practical for, if you are looking to help someone in an area, you too have to have had that experience. So once I had thought about, not being a consultant so soon, not saying that it's not something that I am to do in the future, but that has been, put on the back burner. I began this business, and there's just so much that it entails. So much that it entails. And I am going to say, I don't want to do it without Jesus.
Yes.
I don't want to run my business without Jesus, because the word says, if you seek first the kingdom and all his righteousness, he will give you everything. Everything will be added unto you. So when you seek the Lord, he will show you what you need to do, how you need to do this, who you need to connect with. If you need to be mixing these two things together, the Lord, he will give you all that you need. So just making that transition, running a business is not easy. However, it's doable. And by the grace of God, I'm able, to use the knowledge that I've learned and acquired in school, just to apply it to make things, doable and practical within my business. And as I mentioned, I started it 2019. During COVID, it took a break. I would still make certain products for certain individuals, certain T-shirts. But I would get people every now and then, oh, when are you going to make some body butters? When are you going to do body butters? And I just felt like it was just something I did not want to do because it took work.
Yes.
Okay. It was just something that I did not want to do because it took work. Okay. Making products, assembling, ordering, inventory, it takes work and it takes money. Okay. However, when we had church, I went to convocation in Baltimore, the speaker was saying, if it's in the will of God, then he will front the bill.
Yes, okay? I received that.
When I heard that, I said, okay. I was like, I like that. I said, that makes a lot of sense. If it is in the will of God, you won't have to want or need for anything. Okay, if it is for me to have, the space I need, the equipment that I need, the products, the supplies, the Lord, he will provide all of it. So being a kingdom-minded entrepreneur, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, if you're saying that you believe in God, you trust God, why separate the two? Okay, I'd rather have Jesus as, the head and the CEO than myself, because there's certain things that I won't be able to see, certain things that I won't be able to prevent. But it's just like, it's a daily thing. And today I was thinking about something, the Lord had dropped something in my spirit. He wants me, per se, and us to just stay in commune with him. It's not something that we have to do when we need him. The Lord wants us to be in communication with him day in and day out, moment by moment. And I said that to say, there were some things that I had, worries and concern, like, Lord, like, how am I going to get this? How am I going to do that? He's like, just stay connected to me. He's like, stay connected to me. And I should not have to worry, I should not have to stress where, the next funding is going to come from. I know that if this is what the Lord had placed on my heart, the fact that it's coming back around again, it's saying a lot. I would have certain friends reach out and say, girl, I'm wearing your shirt. When you having new ones? I had a sister from the church saying that she saw someone on the street with their shirt, and it's just like, all right, Lord. So I get the picture. I understand what you are saying. And it's just like the time could not have been better. I am currently an instructor at, I won't name the school, but I am an aesthetics instructor. Okay. And I just know that the Lord is just leading me in that place. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's so many individuals who have, mental illnesses. They have instability and they just need help. I have students who would come to me crying in tears, like, Miss Leslie, like, this is happening, that's happening. And the Lord is just like, just be there for them. Let your light shine so that they can see that I'm living in you, that I am, the one who sustains you. I'll play worship music sometimes. I'll do certain playlists and they're like, oh, we like this, we like this. And the thing is, I don't necessarily want to push Jesus on people, but if you do it in a way that's just calm and, receptive, then it'll make a difference. So you just have to be mindful of the life that you are living because people are watching. So I just want to make sure that I'm allowing Jesus to glow in my life so that people can see that he's definitely amazing, he's awesome, and he's doing a good work, and he will complete it. Yes, he will. You are preaching already. This girl came in here quoting. This girl came in here with the scriptures and the word. And they were knit so neatly into everything that she was saying, and they were just flowing to. I just wanted to let you flow, let you flow. I mean, that really got me when you said, we should be that light that people see, and it should be so bright. Yeah, it should have a glow. It shouldn't be a dull light. No.
You know, like when those light bulbs, they're getting ready to go out and they're flickering. And it's like, no, this needs to be shining bright and be lit all the time. And, you know, and it's true. When you think of your business, you know, and a business name and everything, it really is important.
Yes.
Because I see so many people with businesses that just don't represent what it is that they're trying to do. And they have some kind of name and it's like, oh, that's what that is? But you came right out with it. Jesus Glow. And I mean, to say you have the testimony of somebody was out and they saw someone wearing your product.
It's actually,
I wear yours all the time, and people are always like, "What's that?" Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, all right. I mean, and it's just, it's a good feeling, especially to know that it is a godly thing that's out there. It's not, oh, my name is out in the street because I was in some mess.
Exactly.
It's because of the kingdom-minded entrepreneurship that you have, and also being considered, definitely you're a businesswoman, and you may not always think about it, especially, at a young age. You may not realize how deep and intense it really is. But I heard you talking earlier about, making sure you had the product and the inventory and, the long nights and the hard work. And I think a lot of times, especially young people in the community, will run from hard work. Yeah. I'm just being honest. Yes. I've done it. I said, oh, that looks like a lot. I could just, go to the mall and I don't have to worry about product and inventory. Let me just live my little life.
That's it.
Go to the park, whatever, get some chips, whatever. Yeah. But it's like, but we have individuals over here in holiness, I like to say, who are kingdom minded, and they're over here running corporations and businesses and have it together, but it's all backed by Jesus. And what was it that you said you heard at the convocation about? If it's from God, it's paid.
If it's His will, it's His bill.
Oh,
His will, His bill.
His will, His bill.
Come on now.
I mean, that is about to be my thing for the year. His bill, His will. And that is so true, because I always think of this when people come and say either they're leaving somewhere, they're starting something, and you can always tell by the attitude. When the person says, I'm going to blah, 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 blah. If they don't sound excited about it, chances are that's not the thing for them. But you're trying to convince yourself, and you're saying, I'm going to go and do this because it looks really good. But do you intend to put in the work? And it's just like our relationship with Christ. We don't just leave Him on Sunday mornings and then just go all willy-nilly all week. You're in a relationship with the person. You talk to them every day. You check in with them. Our prayer time, our devotion time. You don't just leave Him until Sundays. It's the same thing with your business. You can't let your business collect dust.
Sure can.
You cannot let your business collect dust. I don't know who that's for. It's not Denasia. But the Lord dropped that in my spirit. And it could even be for me, because I have some businesses that, have kind of been quiet during COVID. And I'm like, oh, I got this other stuff going on. But that doesn't mean that we have the right to shut it down. Because if God didn't shut it down, His will, His bill. So if He didn't shut it down, do not let your businesses collect dust. Don't let them get the dust bunnies. Don't let somebody come after you with the vacuum cleaner, because your idea, and what you're really saying is, if God gave you this idea, you're saying that God is dusty and rusty, and He's not. We don't serve a dusty and rusty God. And if He has given you that vision, He's given you that mindset, and it's all about the kingdom, you go for it. We are sitting here talking to someone who has, like she said, she pushed past the opposition. And it wasn't by herself, but she was able to do that with Christ. It was something that she was able to take on. She didn't say it was easy. She talked about all the different things, the hard work. She mentioned it several times. It is hard work. It looks cute. It looks really cute to say, I'm a young entrepreneur, and that sounds real cute. But when it comes time to pay that car note, it comes time to pay that rent, it comes time to pay that light bill, cute is not going to get it. It's not going to get it. The nice title, the nice name of the business. We were talking about the name of the business, and then just the integrity of what you're trying to represent. And if you could also speak to the integrity of these businesses, and you can speak to the integrity of your business, but especially for a young person who might be out there. And I do not want to forget to let you know, I can ramble. People who know me know that I could talk for hours. So let me pause and say that at any time during this conversation, you may call into us at 617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. And Denasia would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. You can ask any question. Ask her about her business. How did she get into it? How does she feel being in it now, versus when you first started? How does it feel? But until somebody calls in, if you could talk about the integrity of business.
I like that question, the integrity of business. One thing that comes to mind about maintaining integrity is, and I'll go back to this because I've made so many body butters, but I have a recipe that I use, certain products, certain measurements, and I will not continue the product if I don't have the measurement that I need or the exact product that I need. And I mean, if I'm making something simple, then I'll do it. But if I know that I'm creating something that someone is purchasing and they're looking for the original product that they asked for, I will make sure that I do what I need to do to put in the actual product. So when I think about integrity, there are so many different things that I could, change about my product. But I want to make sure that when I'm creating it, it's created to what it was meant to be. Okay? I don't want to alter it in any way. I want to make sure that all of the necessary products are in my product. And maintaining integrity when doing business, not everyone is like-minded with you. Not everyone has a kingdom mindset of wanting to maintain integrity and pleasing God. So whenever I'm conducting business, or whenever you're conducting business, you want to make sure that you are withholding your standard and that you are also maintaining your image. Okay, we have to make sure that if we are professing Christ, we have to live for Christ. People have to see us in our everyday conversations with those who we are conducting business with. Okay, if I'm saying that I'm allowing Jesus to glow in my life, I can't walk around with my head down and feeling like I don't want to speak with anyone. I have to maintain the name that I'm claiming. Okay, not saying that every day is going to be shining and whatnot, but you have to make sure that you are maintaining your composure as being saved and having the light of Christ within you.
That was excellent. And I really picked in, and I want to hone in on what you said about maintaining. If you are at a certain level and you're maintaining now, you can't go back. Because now you're representing your business, you're representing Christ, and you have to maintain, which means you have to be consistent.
Yes.
You have to be consistent with whatever business God has given you. You've got to maintain. And I think that was key, and I'm sure that helps somebody, that lets somebody know that I've got to not only get to the level of my business and, being productive and being lucrative, but that I've got to maintain that integrity.
Yes.
And that you talked about, not shorting anybody, by saying, well, they're not going to know if I used a little bit of something else. Yeah. And I told them that they're getting product X. Exactly. And then I used some other stuff. And I said, oh, here you go. Here's product X. Here you go. This is Jesus Glow. Yeah. But and especially as, a Christian worker and a Christian in business, you can't allow any shortcuts. So just like I said, don't, let your business collect the dust because of something that you think you can't do. You also can't take shortcuts. And expect to have the same results because it's gonna come out in some way. You know, I know even in my business in architecture and construction, if you use some type of faulty, shoddy material, it may not show up right away, but
Over
5
time?
years from now, something's gonna rust, it's gonna rot, it's gonna fall out, windows falling out of buildings.
God.
We've seen that happen on skyscrapers. I know that years ago, even the newer John Hancock building, I think it was built in like the 70s, there was one time windows were just popping out.
Yeah.
And it was because they went back through the notes and they looked through the drawings. Somebody had substituted something that was not intended. And they said, I'm going to save a little money now. But then windows are popping out. So you cannot afford to do that same thing within your business because that's the integrity of your business. And you're carrying Christ in your business. You've got to have that integrity and you've got to maintain.
Wow.
I want to segue again a little bit and not controversial at all, but have you ever been in a situation where you've tried to explain to somebody else, say you were trying to give advice to someone else and they were being resistant only because maybe they were scared? How would you say that you would get somebody over that hump? They have the fear and you're telling them, yes, you do have that business in you. You are kingdom minded, but they're saying, nah, I'm not really sure. Maybe that's good for you to do. But how would you steer that person? We do have a caller. So
Okay.
1 second, we'll take the call.
Okay.
Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, my name is Sister Tess, and I have a question. Well, two questions for Tanisha.
Hello.
So my first question is, I heard you speaking about Jesus Glow and how amazing the product is. I wanted to know how could I purchase the product, and like where could I get it? And then another question I have is, you know, with a business, like there's so many other people who are already in a business, like what advice do you have for someone who is nervous about starting a business, knowing that like the profession may be already filled with so many other people?
Great question.
That's an awesome question.
Thank you for those questions, Sister Tess. To answer your first question, I have a website. The name of the website is JesusGlowCo.com. So that's JesusGlowCo.com. And there are products that are being uploaded to the website, so you can just keep that website in mind and you can visit. And I also have my Instagram page, so it's JesusGlowCo on Instagram, and I will be sharing when the products will be available for sale. But to answer your second question, I think with having, with considering that there are other businesses doing exactly what I am doing, I had that question myself, and, I said, Lord, why should I be doing this if other people are making shirts about you and other people are making products about you? And he just said, they're not you. Okay, so they are not you. I am Denasia, and I will leave my last name out. I am Denasia, and I am my own individual, and I have Jesus within me. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. So I have to know that if I have Jesus on my side, then I will stand out. I will be distinguished. And it's not, my products. I'm creating them for his glory. So even though there are many companies that are selling, as I mentioned, faith-based clothing, there are certain regions that haven't even, experienced what they have. So I am looking to just go beyond what others have done and reach certain places that haven't been reached before. So I think that's what definitely the advice that I would give. You can only be you, okay? We may have the same idea, however, we may execute it differently. And I am not here to say that I'm the only one that can do what I do. However, you may have something that can go farther than what I can do. It may reach people in a different way. So you just have to know whatever the Lord gives you, you have to stand by it, and he will definitely make room for you in any situation for you to be known and seen for his glory.
That was excellent. And thank you, sis, for calling in. We appreciate the two great questions that you asked. I think that's going to be very helpful, not only for you, but anyone else who is listening to get that type of advice. It's not often that people are able to talk so freely and so candidly about their business practice. Everybody is not so open. A lot of times, and that was another question I was going to ask, was a lot of times there's a lot of jealousy.
Yeah.
And then also it causes you, like the sis who called in, to maybe doubt and say, well, 50,000 people are doing that. Why is mine unique? What's going to make mine stand out? And how much work is that going to be to make my business stand out from all the 50,000 other people who are doing it? If you could talk a little bit too about that, competition, I would say. I wouldn't even use the word jealousy. I would say the competition. How do you overcome, getting discouraged maybe because you feel that, well, you have this great product, you've worked so hard on it, and say maybe you're launching a new line, and then you show up somewhere and 12 other people have like the same thing. What is that factor that makes yours stand out and stick out? And definitely we know that it's Jesus.
Right.
But some other things coupled with that, how do you adjust your, even your attitude, or to not get discouraged because you see 12 other people doing it and you say, oh, well, I might as well not even do mine. Right. But like you said, you can only be you.
That's a great question. And one thing that I offer on my website is prayer requests. So if people want to send a prayer in, I'll definitely pray for them. But in terms of having, that competition, I am reminded just to know that you have to relate with people. Okay, you have to be relatable, you have to be personable, you have to, I'm a people person, I love to chat, I love to talk, and I have a very strong spirit when it comes to discerning if someone needs, a word from the Lord, if they need that encouragement. So one thing that I love to do is, yes, I'm making these products, and yes, I put the work. Yes, it takes, time and resources. However, my mission and my ministry is to make sure that people are learning of Jesus. Okay.
Yes.
The products and the merchandise, that's just excess. That's just a way for people to, be drawn in. However, I love having conversations with people. I love asking people, how they're doing, if there's any way that I could help them. I love helping people. So having the opportunity to sell my products, that's a way for me to connect with people. That's a way for me to give them that word, let them know that Jesus loves them, like Jesus is there for them, and knowing that there is hope in Jesus. So I think what makes me confident is knowing that my mission is more than just making products. My mission is more than just selling. That's just an avenue for people to, like I said, be drawn in. But once you get the people, it all depends on how you treat them. It all depends on the word that you give to them. Yes. We need to know that it's very important to be ready, to stay ready. We are the salt of the earth. We have to make sure that we taste good. We have to make sure that we give people what they need, We always have to have a word ready. So that's just one thing that drives home for me, and my spirit is just, it's more than just having product. Okay, it's more than me creating this product. Jesus Glow is a brand, but it's also a ministry.
I love that. She said it's a brand, but it's also a ministry. And she talked a lot about utilizing her brand and her business to do kingdom-minded work, to do ministry. So she said it's not about the product. It's not about the quantity. It's not about even the business, but it's about the fact that this is an avenue that's provides an opportunity for someone to share Christ, for us to be able to share Christ with someone through this business. They may not know who Jesus is. They may not know anything about him. They may not know anything about church, but they see the product, and when they see the product, they will see Jesus.
Yes.
When they see the t-shirts, if they see even just, if Denasia is at maybe a fair or something, and say you're vending, and there's going to be something that's going to stick out and stand out with that business because it has Christ in it.
Yes.
So yes, there are the other 12 body butters out there, but do they have Jesus?
Right.
Are they kingdom minded? Were they, were those businesses built on Christ?
Right.
Or were they built on self? And were they built on, well, I did this and I can do this and I can blow it up?
Yeah.
Or was Christ at the center of it? And you can tell when he is and when he isn't at the center. And I'm sure that you run into that often, where you may run into a competition and somebody has maybe the same thing that you do, but they do not have Christ. Right. And that is such a huge element. I just love this conversation.
Yes.
I love the way it is taken. It's, it's so easy to talk with other Christians about, stuff that normally it's like, well, if we're Christians, we can only talk about the Bible 24/7. We can't talk about anything in the world, even though we all have jobs. We can act like we're riding horse and buggy, but we all have cars. I mean, it's like, oh, we're being modest. When, I don't know where this misconception came, but it's like, just because you're saved and because you're in Christ does not mean that, like, you're not in the world and you're not in society and that you're not being seen. I mean, we need to be seen so that people can see Christ.
Yes.
And through the entrepreneurship, people are able to see Christ. And that's why I never want the word entrepreneurship to get such a bad rap or to have a negative connotation, especially within the church walls, or, we're supposed to be outside of the church walls, but in that society, because the church world is definitely its own society. We have our own people who are not involved in it. They don't get it. They don't understand it. It can be a soap opera at some times, at some points. And within that community, though, it's a faith-based community, but we should be able to flourish. Yes. We should be able to nurture our fellow brothers and sisters when they have a business. We should be able to patronize them without being so competitive. Well, she has body butter, I have body butter too. Like, what makes hers better? No, go buy it.
Yes.
Go celebrate each other. If you're at vending events, support your brother and sister. That's one thing.
Yes.
And I know you would recommend this too, is if you are at a faith-based, some community event, and there are like 10 vendors, those 10 vendors should definitely all be buying stuff from each other. Yes. I mean, it's just, I've done it. I've vended before, and it just did my heart good to know that there were like 8 of us, at an event. We all got something from each other's. The support is huge, guys. The support is real. Yes. I mean, the fact that somebody else would come over and patronize you, even if it's something small, they don't have to buy you out, but even if it's something small, just that gesture, that's showing the love of Christ. That's showing that you definitely have a kingdom entrepreneurial mindset, because you're patronate, you're showing love, you're showing support. And just kind of one of, the last thoughts I would like you to talk about and share is anybody who is thinking of, taking their business to the next level. They're saying, okay, my business is kingdom minded, and, I've been talking to God, and I just want to go to that next level. What advice would you share with them?
I would say you have to be intentional. Okay, being intentional is so important. being, I'll repeat my thought. Being intentional is so important. You have to make sure that you are taking the time to, do your research, taking the time to make sure that you have the necessary items that you need. Yes, the Lord, He is the center of the business. However, I am His vessel, which means I still have to do the work. Okay. I spend a lot of time writing notes. I have tons of notebooks. Whenever I have a thought, I just write it down. If I use my phone, I write it down. I'm always making sure that I'm in tune with the Lord, just to hear what He has to say. In conversations, I'm being very mindful of what I'm saying, of what others are saying, listening to the word that is going forth. It's just, there's no time to sit and be, lackadaisical. There's no time to just sit and be idle. You always have to work, whether it's in your spiritual life, whether it's on your job, your personal life. It takes work. And I'm reminded of when I had a situation going on, and my mother, she, I love my mother dearly. Mom, I know you're listening. It's a wonderful thing to have a mother that knows how to pray, and a mother that knows how to hear from the Lord. I'm going to say that again. It's so wonderful, so important to know that you have a mother who knows how to pray. And, I've gone through so many situations and knew that the Lord was speaking through her. There were times where I was disobedient, and, I had to suffer those consequences. However, just knowing that whenever He's speaking and I'm not listening, He goes to her and she just lashes out. She just says, this is what the Lord is saying. I'm like, okay, like I hear you. And I go back and I'm like, okay, Lord, it's coming from her, but I know it's coming from you. So I said all that to say, we had a conversation recently, and this is even before I, got straight back into Jesus Glow, like rebranding and getting things started again. She said, there's a work for you to do. There's work for you to do. There are some things that I'm trying to do, personally in my life. And she said, no, there's work that needs to be done. And had the same conversation. I'm blessed to have women of faith in my life who know how to pray and who know how to hear from the Lord and to give me what I need. And I've learned to listen to them. It's so much easier when you listen instead of trying to talk back and say, well, no, this is how I want to do it. This is how it should be done. You have to listen when the Lord is speaking. There's a reason why He speaks through the individuals He speaks through. And I didn't know what she meant when the Lord has said there's work for you to do. She said, ask Him what He means by that. Ask Him what the work is that needs to be done. And sure enough, it just resurfaced, it rebubbled up in my spirit. And when I tell you, it went off like a light bulb. And I had, some individuals reach out and say, oh, I'm wearing a shirt, popping up on social media. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Lord, I hear you. And I will get to work immediately. Steadfast. You have to start right away. So that was
excellent.
Yes.
No, that was truly excellent. Just went beyond where I thought the hour was going to take us. And in a great way, because I just feel like we just started talking. Yeah. And I cannot believe we only have a few minutes left. But I mean, the content that you provided, and your candidness, your openness, your transparency was key to this conversation. A lot of times people, they don't want to share what their knowledge is. They want to hold on to it because they're afraid that somebody's going to take it and run with it. And then it's like, well, I gave that out for free. But it was not about that. This was about you saying that you like to help people.
Yes.
And that you offered up your time and your services, and you're giving people great advice, and it's great godly advice. It's not coming from your head.
Right.
It's coming from the Bible. I mean, you were up here preaching with the scriptures and like just dropping it. So I just want to commend you and thank you for, you did not have to do this, for coming on here. We at the Empowerment Radio Show were just grateful to have you as a guest, and thank you for the caller that called in. People, if you go on and you watch this later, just think about all of the tools that she gave you and all of the different things that she mentioned, and just the great advice that she gave, and she gave of her time. So until the next Kim Empowerment Radio Show, which airs every first Sunday from 4 to 5 p.m. at Boston Praise Radio TV, we want to say we hope that you have a tremendous...